Hey everyone, what's up and welcome to some more Spectre Divide. Today we're going to be going through a full settings guide breaking down what I believe to be the most optimal settings for me. And with this video, hopefully it gives you a good sense of direction as to how to set up your settings for you to find what's most optimal for your build and give you a better understanding of what each setting does. So we're going to get into it. After I streamed this game for about 12 hours yesterday on Twitch, I did have a bunch of people ask me for my settings. And so I'm going to share my Crosshair with you, a bunch of my graphic settings, and yeah, I'll just show you guys what it looks like. Hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, like is always appreciated. And if you guys do want to get access to Spectre Divide's closed beta, you can watch me over on Twitch. Link to my Twitch will be in the description. All you gotta do is watch me or any other streamer, and after claiming rewards such as sprays, banner frames, and weapon charms, you can then have a chance at getting access to an actual game key. So that's how you can play Spectre, but let's get into the settings. Okay, so I'm gonna go through things in order here, just from left to right. Accessibility across, starting off with subtitle presets. I keep subtitles off. I just don't really find them necessary. Motion sickness prevention. All I know is that when I have this setting off, it turns off my center dot on my screen, which I find pretty crucial on my crosshair. As you guys see right here, I do have my crosshair, and right in the middle, there's a little dot. If I turn off the motion sickness setting, it gets rid of it. And I don't know why. I don't know if that maybe means I just need to readjust my settings for this setting. But yeah, I personally like motion sickness off, so I keep this setting applied. In terms of colorblind filter settings, I know a lot of people who like to use colorblind filters just because they like the way it looks. They find colors more vibrant. But me personally, I've always played and enjoyed games on their default colors. I'm not colorblind. If you are, all the reason to use it. Colorblind filter strength, if you are using, I mean, you can adjust that accordingly. Blood effects, I do keep these off. It's just less going on your screen. Damage camera effect, I also keep off. If I'm taking damage, I prefer not to have anything flashing or bursting on the edges of my screen. I just keep that off. Team line of sight lasers, I highly recommend you guys keep this on. It's actually really important. If you have teammates and you want to know where they're looking or what angles they're clearing or holding, without even talking to each other, you can see with their laser coming out of their weapon what they're focusing on. So keep this on. It'll prioritize, like, oh, they're looking at that angle, okay, maybe I can cover a different angle. Super useful team tool. Enemy outline color, this is a new feature they just added in for this closed beta, and it's super useful. The default outline on enemies is orange, but I find it tends to blend in a little too easily with some of the skins that they got going on this game. So I personally like to highlight them red. Red is bold, it's bright, and I know red generally means bad enemy. So I keep my enemy outline color on red. You can play with what you like though. I feel like green would make you think friendly. Language, I keep that in US. Subtitles off. Subtitle background opacity, I also keep this off. If I did have it on, I mean, you guys can see it right here. It just adds the boldness to the background. And then, well, I have subtitles off, so all this isn't necessary. So we're gonna move on. General settings now. With mouse sensitivity, I play on a 0.46 cents. This is about 35 centimeters per 360 on a mouse. Move your mouse 35 centimeters, the length of a ruler, in a little bit, and you'll do one full 360. ADS sense multiplier, I keep this on 1.0. So whether I'm ADS, whether I'm not ADS, it's not going to scale the sense. It's 35 centimeters across the board. Inverting my y-axis, I mean, I'm not an alien, so I don't use this. And 4K 8K polling mouse support. This was a new feature they added in the stress test that just went down before this closed beta. And I mean, I don't have a 4K polling rate mouse or 8K, so I'm not using this, but if you do, could be worth checking out. ADS recoil view behavior. I've talked to some friends with this, and everybody I've talked to who has played, you know, Spectre for a lot longer than I have in tests and stuff like that, they all just recommend I stay on centered. I mean, I've tried some of these. They're a little bit, I mean, they are different. Like, this follows your pattern. So this is, once again, just kind of personal preference. But me personally, I just like my ADS recoil view behavior to be centered. It's the least smooth camera wise, but it keeps everything focused on your center dot of your crosshair. It doesn't adjust anything accordingly, and it just leaves it there. Moving on to your ADS tracer display, I keep this off. This is only when you're ADS, but if you do have this on, you can track for every bullet. You can track for every 2 bullets or 3 bullets. It's just extra visual clutter happening on your screen. So when you're ADS, and you can see when I'm gonna move around because it's about to kick me out. And I ADS and I shoot, There's no tracer effect. It's strictly the bullet effect of it connecting with an opponent. If there's an opponent, there will be no blood effects either because we already turned that off. So yeah, it looks super clean. Optical hit confirm. This is another feature I find to be pretty useful. Basically on the outsides of your not your crosshair, but your reticle, you see like the little green highlights around it. Every time I hit a target, if it's an actual enemy, they'll like kind of pulse green, just very, very faintly, but it is a nice subtle indicator to show you you're hitting your target. So for those reasons, I like to keep that on. Minimap rotation. All my minimap stuff is very preference based, but I find it to be useful, especially as someone who hasn't had a lot of experience with tac shooters. I find the minimap pretty important to me, and there's actually a lot of useful information that goes down on it. So making that enhanced and as visible as possible was priority to me. Minimap rotation, I like it on. This is a preference. Some people like it off because they read the map better. I read it better when it's on. A center minimap on player, I also like this on. I kind of get lost at who's who on the minimap if you're not memorizing who's what color. So keeping it focused on me is nice. Minimap size, I crank that up to the max. Minimap scale, I also crank that up to the max. I'm gonna move my face cam here so you guys can see it. But you can see here with the scaling, if you crank it up to the max, you can actually see the map in depth. Very, very up close. You can see the specific points at which abilities and other things happen or who's shooting. I feel like it's just much easier to call out when the map is enlarged like that. And like I said, once again, with the minimap size, it's cranked, it's max size. Minimap shape, I prefer square over circle. Circle actually cuts off a little bit of the edges, so you're not able to get as much information. And minimap background, I'll leave this on standard. If you turn on to high contrast, it will make it pitch black and you can play with the opacity from there, but I just like the standard background color. It's just completely fine to me. I don't see any reason to tweak it. Moving on though, we have the network buffering mode. This I haven't exactly played with to its fullest extent. It's been newly added into this closed beta as well, but personally when it comes to the network buffering, I just leave it on moderate. It says if you have a really, really good connection, you can turn this down to minimum. And I do think I have a really good connection, but not to the point where I have so much belief in it that I would turn it down to minimum. So I just leave it on moderate. This is if you're struggling a little bit. On maximum, you can crank it up. But yeah, I just leave this alone. In terms of text chat, I just leave all these enabled. We're gonna now move on to graphics settings because this is probably some of your meat and potatoes. I play on full screen on 2560 by 1440. This is obviously what you're gonna be able to handle on your PC and what your monitor is capable of, but I have a 1440p 240 hertz monitor, so I play on 1440p. Brightness, I keep this on 1.0. I don't have any difficulty seeing in corners or really anything. I think the lighting is great in this game, so I don't feel the need to overexpose anything. Leave the brightness alone. Contrast, I also leave that at 1, but I can see some people wanting to turn this up. It could make, you know, your blacks a little blacker and just make things pop a little more, but it will, in my opinion, darken corners, so I don't really want to do that. Frame rate limit, I have this off. Don't want to cap my frame rate. VSync, I do keep off though. I do that in every game. Just always keep VSync off. And render scaling, I keep this at max. I just want full render scaling. If at your current resolution mode, you're struggling to pull frames at 100% render scaling, I mean, I would probably just turn your overall resolution down and keep your render scaling at max. But as for my quality settings, my textures, effects, and post-processing, I keep all on low. Honestly, tweaking with these settings doesn't do a whole lot. The game does look pretty sharp on all epic settings, but it's a cartoon sharp. And so I have no problem keeping everything on low settings. As for my NVIDIA reflex settings, I keep reflex enabled, just on, not on plus boost. I match this to what's on my NVIDIA control panel. If you guys have ever set those settings up, I just never think on plus boost is necessary, so I just leave it on. As for DLSS settings, I love DLSS. I always encourage you to use it if you're allowed to use it. I keep it on, and I keep it on balance settings. You can crank it to performance and ultra performance. I find anything past balance starts to blur out important things, like even your enemies are a little bit more fuzzy, so I want the picture clarity there still. I just keep it on balance. So that's gonna do it for graphics. It's pretty simple over here, not a whole lot to tweak. Moving on to your crosshair though, it actually is really nice to add this little graphic up here this time around in the closed beta. It gives you a live feedback of what all your crosshairs look like across the board, from your ADS to your hipfire, even your sniper reticle. I just have a pure white small dot with a black outline as my ADS. Crosshair as my hipfire, I added some nice white little lines to kind of enclose it and circle it, and my sniper matches my ADS. In terms of the actual settings themselves, my ADS Center dot is just white, opacity cranked to 1, thickness lowered all the way down to 1, ADS outline on with a full opacity and minimal thickness. My hip fire, I have my color set to white. My outlines are on. My outline thickness is lowered all the way to 1. Center dot on. Copy ADS center dot settings. I didn't want to have to repeat it. So I mean, you can turn this off and customize it differently, but I just want it to match. My hip fire inner lines. So these are the lines that are surrounding my hip fire reticle right there. I have these, the inner line opacity all the way up to 1. I have the length lowered all the way to 1. My inner line thickness cranked all the way up to 10, so that this way you get these long lines. And then the offset, I keep that off. I don't want an offset. Show firing accuracy on and movement accuracy on. I'm just gonna show you guys what that looks like in the actual range here. I'll go up against a wall. You can see, like, it's nice. It kind of encloses it. It's almost like a circle with a dot, but it's like a square with a dot. You just got the nice little clean dot, and then when you spread around and you're shooting people from the hip, you will get a little bit of a spread there to see, you know, where your bullets will move off to. I like this better than clear lines, kind of like instead of a T outer crosshair, it's more of like it's a circle. Yeah, I think it's really clean. Now you can set up hip fire outer lines as well. These I just do not feel to be necessary. It adds another set of dots or lines outside of the little circle or box that I created already, and that's just, I don't really see the point in that. And my sniper, I basically match this to my aim down sight. So 1, 1, on, 1, and 1. It's the exact same. So that's it for my crosshair. All of these settings are pretty easy to play with and you can tweak to find your own, but I think this is a nice set of crosshairs for you guys to put on if you guys like the look of it. Moving on to my audio settings, I keep everything on max, but my music volume I've cranked down to 0.1. A lot of people will probably just turn this off if you don't like listening to music in the lobby. In terms of your microphone inputs, you're gonna wanna set these up to what your actual microphones are and your inputs are on your computer, but I keep the volumes at 0 and 0. I haven't found any problems with the audio so far in this game. I find my teammates to be, you know, easily hearable, and so I don't feel the need to up it. My team voice chat, I keep that on push to talk, and I have had my keybind set to T. Voice party chat, I mean, I keep all this on default, so nothing there. The only thing I did change was actually the audio output configuration over here as well. I changed the stereo to headphones rather than stereo speakers or platform default. Now moving on to keybinds. Keybinds, this is all preference as well, but my keybinds, I have found them to be pretty comfortable, and I actually like what I got going on here. So my duality swap and duality puck, I've changed these to Q and E. I find them really easy to access, and you are throwing your puck and swapping between characters quite frequently. And I've actually changed my scroll wheel down to be the puck as well, just so I can pull it out extremely quickly. If I ever need it, I can just quickly flick down and I'm throwing my puck. My forward, backward, right, left, I mean WSAD, standard as usual. Jumping and vaulting is spacebar, but I've also double binded those to scroll wheel up. So my scroll wheel up is also a jumping key. I just like and always apply jumping to my scroll wheel up in all games I play. My crouching, I have that on left control. My walking, I have that on shift. That's all standard. ADS is right click, firing weapon, left click. And then my primary, sidearm, melee, and Zeus are bound to 1, 2, 3, 4 across the board. Now, this is actually really nice with the Zeus. If you guys didn't know it in this game, while you're planting the Zeus, you can actually switch to your other Spectre while planting to defend the guy, defend your other body who is installing the bomb. Now, this is really accessible because if you're holding the 4 key with your index finger, you can still reach the Q key with your ring finger and swap bodies at the same time. So it's really nice, the placement of these keybinds. If you had these inversed, it'd be kind of hard to hit E while holding 4 at the same time, unless you moved like your middle finger off W, but that'd just be a little weird. So yeah, that's my 1, 2, 3, 4. My optical zoom, I have that on left alt next to spacebar. Just quickly tap that, I can zoom in my optic, zoom out. My reload is set to R, my dropping Zeus is set to Z, and my inspect is set to N. Now for my equipment, I like C, V, and X because I find them really easy to click while never taking my fingers off WASD. I can move around, and with my thumb, I can just activate any ability I want on the fly. So I just always like having a control of my movement. Q and E, oftentimes you have to take a finger off your movement key to click it, so that's why I don't have it on those. And my push to talk, T, party chat P. As for my general settings, I have some of these are set to default. Tab is default, but my ping is default. Interact is set to my 5 key on the side of my mouse. Sprays I set to 5 key up on the keyboard. My full screen map, I set my map to F on a lot of games just because it's so quickly available. It's right there, so I like to click that. And my buy menu is set to B. So that's all my keybinds. Once again, the keybinds in this game don't get too crazy, but it is nice to have some customization. I found these to work really well for me, so maybe you guys will give it a try. I definitely recommend the CVX on your equipment because keeping your movement keys intact all the time is just really nice. Last thing for stats, I did turn on all network feedback, I guess you could say. I translated all these to text. So here in, it exited me out of the range. The game just said there's a new update available, but essentially the network settings just in the very top left-hand side of your screen, way over there, it just gives you little network feedback. Lets you know if you have any packet loss, and it's just useful to see if you're lagging or not. But that's gonna do it for my settings video. What a perfect way to end it here at the main menu. If you guys enjoyed it, like rating is always appreciated. I hope that helped you out, gave you a better understanding of some of the settings. But yeah, I will be streaming this game later today as well, so hope to catch you guys over there on my Twitch. I will be playing some Splitgate 2 actually over on my Twitch later today, so if you guys want to check that out as well, it's the first time the world is going to be seeing some real gameplay. I think it's going to be really exciting, and I hope to catch you guys over there. But have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much. Appreciate the support. Keep up, stay up. Peace out.